Thanks for joining us tonight to learn more about Camp Widji and our fourth through sixth grade key experience. So we wanted to start by first reminding you of what we are about here at Great River School. It's important to ground in our mission where we are a public Montessori learning community that prepares students for their unique roles as responsible and engaged citizens of the world. And like many Montessori communities, we have that larger vision of world peace through Montessori education. We believe in the power of educating our children in a different way. So how does this connect to our key experiences? These are a couple of different quotes from Dr. Maria Montessori. And in her work, those who have chatted with me before know that I love talking about Dr. Montessori, how she was a scientist and a doctor and really known to be that origin of peace education. One of the things she observed when she was developing the Montessori method was that when children were out in the world, when they were in nature in particular, and when they were out in the world practicing independence, that they experienced the world and they grew and developed in different ways. And so each of these quotes is trying to pull out for us different parts of why key experiences are so important to our Montessori educational experience, not only at the elementary level, but through our entire school. And of course, we try to bring real live objects into the classroom, and we go out into the world in small ways with going outs or just going outside into our garden or outdoor spaces. But we find that on a key experience, when we are out in the real world, like Montessori said, in a real forest, in nature in different ways, that students have different experiences and develop in different ways that we can't capture or reproduce when we're at home and at school, whether it's building problem solving or independence or collaborating and connecting to nature or engaging in our outdoor education curricular experiences, the things Brent knows so well. So what is a key experience? At Great River School, like many Montessori schools, a key experience is an extended experience, in this case, 4 nights and 5 days. And it's a chance for students to build towards our vision and mission and practice developing those skills. Key experiences at Great River are foundational places where students get to build themselves authentically, where they get to be in community, where they get to connect to nature and challenge themselves, as well as making memories and learn in a very different way in a different setting. We often find that when students and our classroom communities come home from key experiences, there's a different connection to each other and a different understanding of who they are themselves. So one of the things that's an important part of our key experiences for fourth through sixth grade families is to extend on the previous level. So if you are a fourth grade parent, you would have experienced the third grade shorter key experience to Eagle Bluff, 2 nights and 3 days last spring. And this year we extend it in grade 4, and fourth through sixth grade goes to Camp Widji. And this allows for some different traditions. We meet the different needs of each plane of development, knowing the needs of students as they grow through the elementary change. And that's why it changes again at the adolescent level in the 7, 8, and 9, 12. So you're here to learn about Widji. Oh, do this one first. So this year for Camp Widji, all of our upper elementary classes will be going to Camp Widji. We've been going to Widji for 3 straight years. And I'll let Brent talk a little bit about Camp Widji and who's going this year.
Yeah, thanks. So as you know, all of our upper L will be going, and we kind of mix up which classrooms are going together. This year, Otter Tail, Shingabee, and Swan are going on the first trip, October 6th, only 2.5 weeks away. The second trip is after MEA. It's on October 20th to the 24th with Crow Wing, Blue Earth, and Little Elk. So we give a lot of support with our classroom guides, our assistants, EAs, Eileen is going on the first trip. I'm going on the second trip. Alexis is coming on the second trip. Angela is coming on the first trip. So lots of adults from our school are going, but as well, the cool thing about Camp Widji is that all of the staff that work there, which includes Henry, the program director, and then probably 10 to 12 seasonal staff, they're all there to serve us, to teach us, to have fun with us, to get to know us. So it's kind of it's our space for that time. Just feels like it's specifically for Great River. So there will be lots of support for our students.
Well, and one thing I wanted to jump in, we do rotate what classrooms go at different times. So just because your child's going on the early trip this year, we do rotate those classrooms so that they're grouped differently on different years. And so they're not always going at the same time of year.
Great. All right. So if you're not familiar where it is, it's almost Canada. So you go up through Cloquet. We stop in Cloquet on the way up and have a sack lunch. So it's important for the students to bring a sack lunch that day if they can get one from school if they need that. But total, it's about 4.5 hours. And the picture on the left is kind of a drone shot of there's one of their science buildings. And that's Burnside Lake that we get to canoe out to that little island out there. That's typically what we do for our canoe portion of the trip. So it is a long trip, but kids can bring books, they can bring a deck of cards, they can bring some Uno. Mad Libs are popular. So they do find a way to have a good time along on that trip. And we always have a 20 to 30 minutes of silence to start each trip, each way on the bus. It's just a tradition we've had. And usually on the way back, there's lots of sleeping. So we do bring a van with us as well to have up there for an emergency vehicle. So we keep the kids busy on the trip for sure. The person in the purple on the right, that's Henry, teaching a class from a few years ago. So we go on trail groups throughout the day, and trail groups are a mix of all the classrooms. So you might have 3 students from each classroom make up a trail group. So they have 9 staff working with us just for the teaching the classes. And what's really cool how they do it there is that basically one instructor is with that group of 9 to 10 kids the entire week. So they're teaching all the classes. So they really get to know our students. Our students really get to know them. That's a kind of a neat experience. Other original things that Widji does, exploring their bog. We go out and explore all the wilderness around them, check out some cool rock features with funny names. You can ask your kids when they come back. Predator prey is a big hit. Basically, some kids are predators, some kids are prey, and we play in the woods, and it's a big game of tag, basically. But they learn about how the relationship works between predator and prey. On Thursdays, we go on a long hike, basically the entire day, and they cook their meals out on the trail in the forest. And they come back and share their experiences with the entire group. It's really cool to listen to all the things that happen in 4 or 5 hours. Also, the sauna, they just built a new sauna, and it's back this year. So it's kind of a rite of passage for our 6 years to get to go in the sauna, maybe jump in the lake and go back in the sauna. It's something they always look forward to. Might be wondering what their lodging's like. So if you're a 4th-year family, Eagle Bluffs accommodations are not quite as rustic as Widji. Those are almost more like hotel rooms, where it's basically a cabin. Think of summer camp, a cabin with a bunch of bunks in it. Most of the cabins don't have restrooms in them. They actually have to walk outside to go to the bathhouse. But 2 of them do have bathrooms in them. But they're pretty simple. We always tell the students, make sure, whatever you pack, you have to carry. It could be all the way to Caribou Cabin, which might be close to half a mile. So gotta pack what you need, but be efficient with it. And also we tell the students that the staff create the cabin groups. And our main goal by doing that is making sure that students are comfortable with the groups they're with. And typically most of the cabin will be classmates. From their, most Shingabians sleep with or in cabins with the Shingabians, and because really all we're doing in the cabins is sleeping and maybe changing, getting ready for the class. So if there are any questions or any concerns, students are welcome to talk to their guides about, what will make them comfortable in sleeping situations. There is an adult in every cabin, um, at least one. Some have two. So I always ask the kids, raise your hand if you enjoyed the food last year at Widji, and the kids that went, pretty much 100% of them raised their hand. I've worked and been at a lot of different camps, and this is probably up there, probably tied with one other camp. Just really good food made from scratch. I really like how they eat family style, so they serve big bowls of food and you pass it around. Um, you get to kind of sit with different people at different meals, and um, fairly kid-friendly food, and they really focus on not wasting food. So after each meal, they weigh how much food kids did not eat off their plate. So that's a big learning focus for Widji, and I feel like the kids get into it. And you might notice when they come home, they clean their plate all the way to nothing. So I think the next slide has just a sample menu. Um, like I said, you got your spaghetti, mac and cheese. They really enjoy the coffee cake and banana bread. That's pretty popular. But they're also really good at meeting dietary concerns. If kids are gluten free or vegetarian or vegan. I've never seen a camp handle it so smoothly and so easily. Um, they always announce what the main course is, and if you need something else, you can go up to the counter and get that. If it's going to be spaghetti, they would have some kind of gluten free pasta for that meal. So um, if there are any concerns, they're also happy to, you can reach out to me, and then I can connect you with Henry and talk through any dietary concerns you might have. Covered most of this, just something the chef sent us a couple years ago. Just that, there's an adult at every table. You go over all the dietary things, like I said. So, yeah. So this is packing list. This is also shared, this slideshow and all these links you'll be able to have access to if you haven't already. Um, I'm not going to go over every single one, but just know that we are going to northern Minnesota in October, and it could be 50, 60 degrees during that first week. It could be snowing in the morning. It could be 40 and raining. So we kind of need to be prepared for a lot of different types of weather. So as most people know, bring lots of layers. I really would advise in some rain gear. Rain pants are helpful if you have those, but definitely a raincoat. Rubber boots are a good idea. We often go on hikes in creeks and wetlands and things like that. And even if it's not raining, feet will get wet. I would advise on a hat, definitely for canoeing, some kind of gloves for canoeing. If they're a little bit more waterproof than like cotton, that would be great, because canoeing does get cold when it's 40 degrees and you're paddling the whole time. Um, Notice it does say swimsuit on there. That would only be for the 6 years if they want to do that as part of the sauna adventure and jumping into the lake. So note we're not swimming. We're just waiting and then going back into the sauna. A lot of fun.
I would say, Brent, I will say it helps to send a backup pair of shoes, because if shoes get wet, we have some access to boot dryers, but it's nice having a dry pair to put on. I know it says indoor shoes and those hiking shoes, but it often rains at some point in the week.
Absolutely. And for sleeping bag pillow, a stuffy is okay, about the size of your head, no bigger than that. They do have to carry it. I have to remind them that. Headlamp, some kind of flashlight is a good idea. So, but for the most part, they don't really have many showers for us because they are getting ready for winter, and most of the places are already winterized. The only time students really take showers is if maybe they fell in the mud and they're just like totally covered or had an accident or some kind of reason like that. So that's why you wouldn't see things like soap, shampoo, washcloth on the list.
I do know there are some students who have like brought wipes or things like that if there's someone who that helps them to feel more comfortable. And the other plug I will give is the backpack they have is what they'll take on their hikes. So make sure it's a backpack that they can wear with their water bottle and other things in it. It's also their bus backpack. And so thinking about like when they're on that full day hike, that's their backpack with their water bottle in it, or anything else they might need that day, like their rain jacket.
Yeah, and I always say lots of socks. I hate wet feet, and the more socks, the better. They do have a whole gear room that we can borrow things. Let's say uh, your student did fall in the water and they had to dry their stuff off. They have dryers accessible to us as well. So they take care of us. And yeah, we'll face. I think every time I've gone up there, it's snowed at some point, but still got to be ready for that. Just as important, what not to bring. Expensive jewelry, obviously, valuables. We don't need our pocket knives or fire starters or anything like that. I just think it's funny hair dryers down here, but apparently it's happened before. We don't need those. Food, beverages, gum can stay at home. Obviously, the sack lunch is different. We're going to eat that along the way. They will collect any leftovers when we arrive, so that way it's not going into the cabin. Um, we don't have a camp store while we're there, so we don't need money. Definitely not electronics. It's going to be screen free. So keep your phones and video games, iPods, all those things. Smartwatches. The big question we usually get is around digital cameras, and I usually tell students, I've dealt with students that have lost one or broken one, or someone took it, or you thought it was funny to take a picture of your friend in the cabin, but it wasn't, and then it turns into a thing. So we just advise if they really want to bring a camera to, you can still go to the Walgreens and get the disposable kind. But even easier, you can just ask adults that are typically around you. We have picture taking devices, and we share those after the trip is over. So you can always be like, hey, take a picture of me with so and so, and let's get our cabin group. And so then we just share all those into a folder and give those out after the trip. Forms. So I think most of you have dived into these.
Sorry, all upper elementary families, your first homework was parent homework where you had a copy of every single form. And so you should have a copy of all these forms. If you need any extras, like maybe you want to download the health form to send in the non-prescription med form to your doctor, because if we have that, then we can give your child like ibuprofen or Benadryl or something like that. If we don't have that non-prescription med form, we cannot give them that Benadryl or ibuprofen or whatever you put on that form. Those are available at Health Office GRS. As you're filling out the forms, please make sure you double check the Widji form, and that you get all of the signatures. There's a spot where it says optional, but it says not optional for children under 18. And we need a signature on that last part of the backside as well. And that's our form from Camp Widji. It's their required form. So make sure you connect with your guide if you have questions on if you've turned in forms. I know they're all looking through forms and often will contact back to say, hey, we're still missing this form, to make sure we get everything back and we're prepared. And then if you have medication, like your child got strep throat or got something else and suddenly needs a prescription med form, you can go to you can either take the form that was sent home or go to our website at greatriverschool.org/health office GRS, get that prescription med form. And I know most doctor's offices will fill it out and even just fax it or send it digitally, and you can bring it to the school with that medication. On the health office webpage are also translated forms. You can also, if you're there with your guide or needed translated forms, let us know. Those are on the website as well. All right, Brent, you want to take this?
Here we go. Yeah. So I always tell the students, I basically give this.
Oh.
Sorry. I basically give it a similar presentation to all the classrooms, and I don't necessarily read all of this, but the big thing I talk about is that our class norms, our school norms, our expectations of the students follow us as we go to Camp Widji, but it's actually, a next level higher because we're responsible for the students for 24/7. And we really ask them to be a responsible member of the community by staying with the uh, community and the groups. And if you need to go somewhere, you talk to people about, hey, I need to use the restroom. And they talk about respect a lot at Widgie, so we really go over respecting yourself and others and the environment and um, everything around you. So that's basically meaning. Yeah, I guess the example I always give is, would it be funny to an adult if you go hide behind a tree for half an hour because you just wanted to? And they're like, no. So I think they get it, and they know that we're all here together, and just want to let families know that if there is an issue, the only time you really hear from us would be, you know, if there was some kind of behavior thing and we just had to say, hey, this happened, they hid behind the tree, we found them after 20 minutes, but we don't think it'll happen again, but we want to let you know that if it does and it's not safe, like there's a chance you might have to come up and make that drive to Camp Widji to pick them up because we want to make sure everybody's safe, and that's our number one goal. So that's usually where our behavior policies come from, is uh, coming from a sense of safety and making sure everyone on the trip is being safe and respectful. The only other two times you'd probably hear from us would be an injury, if if someone sprains an ankle really bad, just to let you know, or hey, there's a really bad cut. We don't know if it's stitches. Is it not? Is it? We want you to decide. We can FaceTime. That may have happened once or twice, maybe just once. Um, but and then other one would be sickness. So if someone has a fever, or I just want to let you know that they did throw up, but we think it's more of nerves, or maybe they ate too much, so we're going to let it play out. So those are a little bit less, easy to call. Whereas, the 101-degree temperature, yeah, we got to figure something out here. So that's what we always say. No news is good news. So we hope we don't have to make those calls, especially around behaviors, because we know our kids can do great on these trips, and they always do. So
A copy of these came home with those forms as well.
yeah, I think there's a form too that needed to be returned, right? Yeah. And this is just more information about the medications and dates, making sure we have everything on time. This is Ricardo's slide.
Well, hi, everybody. I'll reintroduce myself again. My name is Ricardo McCurley. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the development director at Great River School. Now, what that means in practice here at Great River is it's my job to support you in supporting the school. We'll talk about finances first, and then we'll talk about other ways to support, like volunteering. So first off, let's just reiterate this key experience program is amazing. It's unique in the country in its scope and scale, and that it is being provided by a public school. So it's pretty cool. It does, however, cost a lot of money. I mean, it's over $250,000 every year, and those costs keep going up, as we all know. So that now, if we average that out to every student in the school, it runs about $350 to $400 a student. However, each grade and each cohort gets a different experience. Some of them are less expensive than others. And so the range, if your students stay at Great River for the whole 12 years, their key experiences will cost anywhere from $175 per student all the way up to $750 per student. And that's in our lower adolescent program, because they have three key experiences that year, because we know that adolescents need a different kind of activity because their brains are in a different place. And this Widgie experience is gearing up for that. We are preparing them to embark on bigger and bigger adventures. And I actually just spoke with Randy, our program director for adolescent. She just came off the 12th grade trip. It is amazing what you get with students who have gone through this program And by the time you have 11th and 12th graders, they are setting up their own tents. They are cooking all of the meals. You are having bordering on, if not full adult conversations with people gearing up for their next phase in life. And it's amazing. I've been on many of them myself. The last one I went on was the bike trip in this spring, and it was fantastic. So now this year is also unique and new because in years past we've asked for contributions, in moments like this, through our fall fundraiser, throughout the year, in the as with all of this information. But this year we've changed it to a contribution model with an invoice. And we did this because we found that families want to contribute, but sometimes it's a little complicated. So the easy way to contribute this year financially is that very soon, we're going to be sending you something that'll look like an invoice, and it'll give you just a set of financial needs per student based on where your students are at, and you can pay that through that system. However, not everybody's going to be able to do that. We don't expect everybody to do it. We are a public institution, and we offer this to everybody. And not everybody can afford it. So, for those of you that can help, more than that, that's where the GRS Foundation comes in. And so the link that you see at the bottom there, it's really simple, greatriverschool.org/support GRS. If you want to go above and beyond, or if you have a grandparent / like your parent who is, who loves what's happening with their grandchildren and want a way to support, you can go to support GRS and find a variety of ways to support. You can become a sustainer in that way. If you want to put in an extra $5 a month to support programming, or if you want to throw in, another 175 because you want to make sure that another fourth, fifth, or sixth grader gets to go and fills that gap that we experience, that would be great. Now, that's the financial way. Next slide, please. But here's the thing. We have lots of ways to support these trips, and I recommend trying all of them. I will say that because I've done them all, and as I am also a parent, I also have a student going on this Widji trip, and I've had students in the past going on Widji trips, and they're phenomenal. And whether it's bringing in a snack, because let's say it's easy in your life to go to Costco and pick up an extra box of Fig Newtons. Those are my favorite. Okay. Or some gluten-free option because your family's gluten-free, so you want to make sure that not only that your students are provided for, but others. Whether it's also volunteering time, being there for to help pack up trucks, to help unload trucks at the end, to help wash tents, and to wash out coolers. It is a lot of work. It's not like each individual component is not big. But when put on a few people, it can become daunting. When we spread it out amongst our whole community, it is fantastic. And often volunteering for this just means that you have to spend an extra 30, 40 minutes at school when you're already there to greet your kids and be excited to see them or send them off. Okay? So the links here, the sign up genius, we do have a school sign up genius, and you can always go there. But what's nice is that Brent and Eileen have provided a specific Widji tiny URL that takes you straight to our Widji volunteer sheet. Okay, and it's Amanda at school and Eileen and Brent have done a great job curating that to make it super easy. That if volunteering is your way that you want to support, please do. Okay, because it is great. And before I leave, I'll put in one last plug. Another way to support is that coming up in November is our fall fund drive, and it's all about engagement. And we're trying to get 200 unique donations in any amount, and we'll unlock a catalyst fund of $25,000. So if you want to save and wait to participate financially that way, that's cool with me. So so just look at all the ways that you can support and think about what's best fits your family. Did I miss anything, Brent and Eileen?
I was just going to share that the snacks that we asked for in the Sign Up Genius, we use in the evenings for students to give them an additional snack before bed. We don't want any food going back to the cabin. So we keep the cabins free of, creatures from the outside who want to visit. And so we have students after their evening activities come back to that main spot where you saw them eating their meals in the pictures, and they have an evening snack. We do medications and things like that for any students who need it, and then they head off to their cabins with their adults for bed. So
Thanks,
that's what the
Eileen.
snacks are used for.
Yeah, I'll also put an extra plug in for coffee. As a coffee drinker and a staff person supporting your students, coffee is very, very important and greatly appreciated.
All right. We have time for questions. If you have any questions, you can just put them in the chat and I can read them and we can get answers. Oh, I just changed it to everyone. So anyone can now type in the chat. Sorry about that. No questions. What are common questions that we get, Brent? Oh, there we go. Oh goodness. David, I think.
Hi, sorry. The chat was still closed to me. That's why I raised my
That's
hand.
okay.
So I thought maybe others had the same problem. I couldn't
That's
write
great.
anything. Um, uh, if your child like a sleep machine or a white noise machine helps them fall asleep, is that something where they're going to be putting kids together in similar cabins or close to each other? Is there something like that available, and are they planning for that?
So the cabin groups are kind of based on dynamics, but we have sound machines in almost all the cabins. If there's a particular one that works really well for your child, you can just talk to your guide. I know in all of the cabins I was in last year that we all had sound machines because it does help everyone fall asleep. And so we bring those along with, and those go into the different cabins.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
thank
actually
you.
had donations for those. I also packed little night lights to plug in for cabins that need that.
Yep. And I think it's important to know students aren't ever in the cabin alone. We have really strict rules about the cabins. They don't go to and from. They have to be there with an adult. And so that's the other reason they're not just going to the cabin between activities. We have a specific times they go to the cabin, sometimes at the end of activities, like the day-long hike, so they can go change. But they're in adult supervised spaces. They're not in that cabin space on their own.
Eileen, there's a question in the chat specifically about that. Is it Great River staff that is in the cabin with them? Is it Widji staff? Is it a combo?
Yep. Great question. The Widji staff leads the groups during the day. In the cabins is only Great River staff. So it's Great River staff in the cabin in the evenings. And the Widji staff are never in the cabins. They're in the kind of the common eating area and they lead the trail groups and different activities.
They do live on site, and we have access to them if we need support at night. But
Yeah.
I also have one that says a stuffy. Yes, they can bring a stuffy. About this big, no bigger than that.
Oh, and I had someone who just raised their hand for a question and I lost them. I was trying to oh, here we go. Janice, you had a question?
Yeah, sorry, the chat is also disabled for me. Just curious about the number of adults per child, not in the cabin, but when you were saying that that the students are never in the cabin alone, they go with an adult. I'm curious if there's more than one adult present in that situation.
Typically, we always do groups of 3. It might be one adult, but there'd be 2 students. If it's going from, like the sports field to the dining hall, something like that. So like I come from a camp background and always making sure you're not in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, I think that's still, I agree. I'm still a little uncomfortable with that when there's two children with one adult. Yeah, just something to think about.
There is another question in the Q&A section. So I think what we have open is the Q&A area and not the chat. But there's a question, where can we find the recording after the meeting?
Great question. The upper elementary guides are going to email out the recording in their next newsletter. So it might be kind of early next week where that gets sent out again, so you can go back through the recording. And I would also share, if you have any questions or there's anything you're like, I'd like a little more clarification on, you can always reach out to your child's specific guide. I know some of the cabins are bigger and some are smaller. And so we usually have a non-binary cabin. There's all these different considerations. Definitely reach out to your child's guide if you have any questions. Since Ricardo is stronger in his technology skills than I am today, are there any other Q&A questions?
There's one in here about, and it's about updates during the trip that's talk a little bit more about the no news is good news philosophy.
And I would say in general, so we don't give updates during the trip. That's an important part of the practicing independence piece. And so we really will only reach out if there's a question or a worry. One of the things that we do encourage families to do, and this will be in kind of the newsletters that from elementary guides right before the trip, is that we encourage parents to write letters, and you can label them like day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. We give students those letters at night, and so it's your way to kind of communicate and share more with them. We do it in kind of, quiet ways. So if your child isn't one who needs or wants those letters, it's going to whatever student is getting them in those quiet ways. So they have that to hold on to. If you want, you can also pack it in your child's bag if they are at that level of independence, because they're a 6th grader, they can look through it. That is definitely something they can do as well. But those letters really help. So I know for my own children have gone to Camp Widji, or the key experiences, the 3rd grade and Camp Widji. And so the letters were definitely kept for a long time afterward, especially after that first trip. Other questions?
And I have been writing these answers not quite verbatim. My typing is slow these days. I use it less and less in dictation. But the questions are also listed. The answers are also listed by the questions in the answered section.
And we'll send out the slideshow as well, along with the recording once we get it. I thought I saw. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, please feel free. If you have questions, you can always email Brent. He is the one in direct contact with Camp Widji, or your guide, or myself. Brent really helps the elementary coordinate our key experience trip, and we are so grateful for his work on that for many, many years. He knows all about Widji and is often my go-to with extra questions. And he gets to go every year. So.
That's right.
Right. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight. Now you guys get to watch me try to be tech savvy again. Right? If we all stop, now you know how often I'm spending time on a device where I'm leading a Zoom meeting during the day.
One last question as we're leaving.
Yes, the cabins are heated. Yes.
Brad caught it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really important.
Sometimes too hot, but
yeah, and it makes a big difference. You feel it. thank you all for spending the evening with us, getting information about Widji tonight. We're excited to take your children on their key experience this year.